It's March Madness, baby. The brand has turned casual fans into fanatics, at least for a couple weeks out of the year. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Brand Out, the podcast all about branding. I'm your host today, Tony Nash, aka the Brand Father, and today we're going to be breaking down March Madness, the branding phenomenon that literally has turned casual sports fans, casual basketball fans into fanatics. The brand that takes people who have never even watched basketball and gets them to fill out a bracket every year. Even here in the office, we have a bracket challenge every year, and typically the person who watches the least amount of basketball wins every year. It is a brand that has taken the world by storm and makes people love, or like basketball, even if they're not fans. Now, I am a basketball fan through in and throughout. I have been my whole life. So this year is one of my favorite times of year. But on the podcast, they want to talk about what makes it work. What makes this tournament specifically, the tournament of March Madness, what makes it different than any other basketball tournament? It even gets more hype than the NBA playoffs or the NFL playoffs. This tournament in particular really brings in people who just aren't sports people. And I think a lot of it has to do with good branding. So the NCAA started their first tournament in the early 30s. I think 1939. But the nickname March Madness actually originated at an Illinois high school tournament, also in the 30s. But then in the 80s, it was used by the one and only Brent Musburger. Not Burker. It was used by the one and only Brent Musburger. And the NCAA officially adopted it in the 80s. And expanded it to a 64-team tournament in 1985. This is what we know today. This is the format we know. Now, they have the play-in games now. I think there's like 6 teams or 8 teams that play for that 11th spot or that 16th spot. I don't know exactly how it works, but pretty much 64 teams get into the tournament. And I will tell you, what an exciting time of year. I mean, what I love about March Madness is the underdog story, the Cinderella story. Every year, I actually buy a T-shirt from the team that is the big upset. So I have a Middle Tennessee State shirt when they beat Michigan State. I have a UMBC shirt from the time they had that. They were the first 16 seed to win beat a number 1 seed. I have a couple every year when there's an upset. I go onto their campus store and I buy a shirt because I love a good underdog story. This year, of course, I'm a big Michigan fan. You see I got my Michigan shirt on. This year, Michigan would be a big underdog. I think they're a 5 seed, but I actually didn't pick them to win. But I absolutely love this time of year. It is so exciting to watch it. Obviously, as the day we're filming, it's the day before the tournaments begin, the official tournament. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll have in the office, we'll have TV set up, we'll have the games going all day, and we're going to try to stay focused on work. But I really feel like we should make these next 2 days that are about to come up, they really should become national holidays because it's really hard to focus. There's games literally all day. And already, as I'm recording this, there has been one amazing finish with I believe it was St. Mary's and Alabama State game. Game came down to a buzzer beater at the end, and it was just awesome. And so I love seeing the underdog story. The amount of buzzer beaters you see during March Madness, the amount of amazing plays you see is just must-see TV, and I love watching it. So let's talk about the strategy behind this branding phenomenon and what's made it really work. You know, obviously for me it's easy because I'm a basketball guy. But what makes the non-basketball person, the non-sports person, want to participate, want to be involved in March Madness, want to watch games, want to fill out a bracket? What is it? Well, first of all, I think the name March Madness, it's just an exciting name. It's a good name. You got the double M's. It's got a good logo with it, but it sounds like excitement. It instantly invokes excitement. It sounds like something big, and it builds hype. And so I think they did a good job by naming it. Thank you to not to Breast. We're going to cut that one out. Thank you to Brett Musburger. Having a hard time with that one. And then, of course, I think one of the things that has really made it take off is the bracket challenge. We're always talking about around here about ways to get people to engage with your brand, engage with your content, engage at the store level. How do you get your fans, your customers, your clients, how do you get them involved in what you're doing? And the bracket challenge has been an absolute win. Of course, for years, you've been able to print off the bracket and, do it with your friends, your family, your coworkers. But now you can do it online and you actually play for money, and everybody fills out a bracket. I think they said, Micah, look it up for me, the odds of having a perfect bracket, I think, are like 1 in 9 quadrillion or something like that. Micah's going to look up the actual, the number there. But it is, nobody has ever picked a perfect bracket. There have been people that have come relatively close. And you got it? The odds. Okay, I heard quadrillion today, but that was on the TikTok. So who knows what the actual odds are, but it's impossible to choose the perfect bracket. And certainly by tomorrow, most everybody's bracket is going to be a mess. The brackets are going to get busted because there's going to be a Cinderella story. There's going to be the underdog team. But what they have done with the brackets and having printable brackets available right after Selection Sunday, people can go online, print them off. We have a big one hanging up in our office. Everybody's filled one out. Actually, at the end of the episode, I'm going to let my team come on here and give you their picks. But the way people go about filling out their brackets is hilarious. I mean, like I said, the person in our office that typically wins is somebody who doesn't watch basketball. They pick their teams based on favorite colors or the best looking guys or the place where they would want to live if they were going to move somewhere. And I think we've all done that, right? Maybe you pick based on your home team. Like for me, it's really, really hard not to pick Michigan. Now, I didn't pick them this year. I got them going, I believe, to the Sweet 16, but I don't have them going past it. And it's hard to pick against your team. But my strategy is I kind of pick based on coaches. I've been a basketball coach for 10 years, played the game pretty much my whole life. And so I like to get to know the coaches and their strategy. And so if there's a coach that I really like and his philosophy, a lot of times I'll base my picks based on the coaches, which I realize the coaches can't go out there and play. But there's over 70 million brackets filled out every single year. And, it even brings the casuals in, as my good friend Matthew Stevens would say. And then their marketing. Oh, go ahead, Micah. You got something?
Yeah, I was going to say that stat that I gave you, it's 1 in 100 million. If you know something about basketball, they give you guess.
You have some basketball education.
It is 1 in 9 quintillion.
Quintillion. If you're just guessing. Which, let's be honest, I mean, most people are just guessing. I saw a lot of content this year from DraftKings and Better and those kind of sites that have a scientific way of picking who's going to win. But at the end of the day, the players got to go out and play. And you got these, I mean, the level of talent at this level of basketball is incredible. And on any given night, a team can just have their best game and something miraculous can happen. So they got the great name. They got the bracket challenge that brings the fans in. And then their marketing and their sponsorship. It's just they've dominated. Their marketing is so good, bringing in celebrities, TV commercials, big brands that are collaborating with them to bring their fans in. And the commercials they do with Charles Barkley and Samuel Jackson and these guys, just really, really good stuff. And then their social media presence is absolutely great. And then, of course, the one-and-done format, I think, is a big part of the brand. Unlike like the NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs or the MLB playoffs, they go into these 5 or 7 game series. And everybody loves the Game 7. Why? Because it's one and done. And so the NCAA tournament really gives you that feeling every single game. It's win or go home. And so it creates that urgency. So I think the NCAA has done a phenomenal. There's a lot of things the NCAA has done that I think are absolutely terrible, are ridiculous. But in terms of branding March Madness, now the girls tournament is using the terminology. I think I give them an A+. It's absolutely amazing. And so I want to give a couple key takeaways for you as a business owner, what we can learn from the March Madness brand. Number one, A great name is everything. Make sure your name is a good name. Or if you're running a campaign, or if you're running a promotion, or if you're running an event, make sure it has a good name, a name that's memorable, a name that builds excitement or that builds something that's going to stand out, or as we say, brand out. And then number 2, they found a way to get the fans involved. I always say it on here, no fans, no brand. So find ways to engage with your audience. Social media is a great playground to do that, but you can do stuff in your store, at your location. Find a way to get the fans involved, whether that's contests, whether that's surveys, whether that's content that you're creating. Find ways to get your fans involved. And then, man, great storytelling. Unbelievable storytelling. The Cinderella story, man, as March Madness is coming here, the amount of clips I've seen of old NCAA, the one shining moment, right? That song that they play, the Christian Laettner buzzer beater. Michigan has actually had a few amazing buzzer beaters, Jordan Poole and some of these guys, and some of these huge plays that they show that just it conjures up that excitement and gets people going. And then the stories of the players or of the teams. There's 30 by 30s of teams that have done a good job. And so they've taken these sports stories. I mean, I get pumped about a good sports story. They've done such a good job of telling the story of these teams and of these sports. And who doesn't love an underdog? And then just having a powerful media strategy. I think where a lot of businesses go wrong, a lot of brands go wrong, is they have a great name. They have fans, but they don't tell stories, and they don't have a strategy when it comes to their media. And let's talk specifically social media. A lot of you today, even right now at 25, you're just posting. I got to post 3 times a week, or I got to post once a day, and you're just throwing stuff out there to be able to say that you posted, and there's no strategy behind it. There's no storytelling behind it. And if we could learn anything from March Madness, I would say you have to learn to have forward-thinking strategy. How do we get the fans in? And then you have to tell those stories. You have to build that audience, that thing that brings people in. And so I think there's a lot to be learned about March Madness. The brand is doing a phenomenal job. I am super pumped this time of year. Like I said, I'm wearing my Michigan gear today. Number 1, because I knew I was doing the pod, but also just because I know it's that time of year where I would love to see the Wolverines, who just won the Big Ten championship, by the way. I'd love to see them come through. I love their new coach. Coach May is doing a phenomenal job. Our team was awful last year, and we just had a turnaround and just won the Big Ten championship. So it's a big uphill battle for them, but I love it. I love this time of year. And so let us know in the comments what you like about March Madness and what you think they've done. And let us know who you picked. Who are your picks to win it all this year? Because that's what we're about to do with you. We're going to bring our team on the show, and we're going to let each of them share with you their Final Four pick, their championship pick, and then who they think is going to win it all this year. So first off, we got our Director of Marketing, Casey Lambert. Casey, are you ready to talk March Madness for a minute here?
Let's get mad on it, bro.
All right, so first off, are you a basketball guy?
I am not a basketball guy. I'm a hockey guy, not a basketball
I've seen
guy.
you play basketball. I can see that tracks.
You can confirm.
But do you like March Madness?
I do, actually. It's like, it's everybody, whether you're a basketball fan or you're not a basketball fan, like just kind of gets into it. And there's such good storylines. Like, I like it. It's like reality TV.
The storylines, the Cinderella story is everyone's favorite, right? And so I was talking on the podcast how because of the brand, they found a way to get their fans involved with the bracket challenge, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we do this every year here, and you filled out a bracket. So I want to talk your picks. But first, I want to talk, everyone has their own like process of how they make their picks. What is Casey Lambert, non-basketball guy, hockey guy, wrestling guy's process for picking in the bracket?
Well, I was like, it's like this. I know a little bit of basketball, right? Because I'm a sports guy.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I occasionally will watch like a Big Ten game or something. I'm a big MSU guy. I fully admit that there. But like, I take my derivatives off of, which team's hot at a certain time. So in the Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey, like, it's not necessarily the best team or the top seed that wins the cup. Actually, very rarely does that happen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I analyze a little bit about the teams, their conferences, and then those are for the games that I know. But when it comes to the first rounds, like, I'll always pick like Utah State because it's Utah,
'Cause you
right?
like the underdog,
Who doesn't
yeah.
love a good Mormon story, right? Like it's
Good Mormon story.
it's true. Or I'll pick
Yeah.
like I think there was Arkansas and Kansas in the first round, and I just thought that was hilarious, and I had to pick Arkansas instead of Kansas.
Of course.
Like I think there's
So-
no
so
rhyme or reason.
It's just based on a feeling. Maybe you've heard on sports talk about a team that's hot. You're not really doing a lot of analytics.
Yeah.
Even though you're a numbers guy, you're just kind of going off, and then you just pick like areas of the country that you like or don't like. I got it. Okay.
Right. Yeah. You can't pick based on statistics and March Madness. It don't work.
It just doesn't work. Yeah, we were just we shared a stat. The chances, if you know basketball, the chances of having a perfect bracket is like 1 in, was it Micah? 1 in like 9 trillion. Not well. If you don't know basketball, it's like in some quintillion factor. So
I know a little bit about basketball. It's 1 in 120 billion.
yeah, so crazy. Okay,
Well, crazy considering I'm sitting on a perfect bracket right here, Tony.
we'll find out tomorrow. So let's go. Your final four based on your strategy. Who's the final four for KC Lambert?
Right. So I got MSU.
That's a hometown pick.
It is, but I like them in that division.
It's hard to count out Izzo this time of year.
It's true, and I don't think Auburn's anything special. I don't think the SEC is anything special in basketball.
Okay.
So I'm taking MSU out of that region, and then St. John's because it's Calipari is the coach, right?
I don't know.
Is that I think it's
Is
Calipari.
he at St. John's now? Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
so,
Calipari. I didn't know
like
he was at.
St. John's, usually a mid-major team, whatever. They'll make the tournament, occasionally touch a Sweet 16. But Calipari's got them playing hot, and more importantly, they were on the Jimmy Fallon show the other day.
There you go. Okay, so what? That's the West Conference or the West?
Yeah, so that's South and West.
So you have in the South you have
MSU. Yep.
In the West you got St. John's. What about in the East?
So in the East, I ended up going with Duke.
The Dukies.
It just like Duke's always in
Cooper
the conversation for a Final Four. But yeah,
Coach
Cooper,
K's first year without Coach K in a very long time.
right, and Cooper Flagg is one of those like rare college basketball players that I actually know. Right,
Yeah.
big white guy from
He's
Canada.
representing the whites right now.
Yeah,
so.
he's like Zach Edey was for Purdue.
Purdue. Yeah.
It's like he's not going to make anything out of himself in the NBA, but he hits the high reel in college. And then in the Midwest, I actually ended up going to Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
All right. That's who I picked also.
That's because you're the only 10 I see.
I see. You see, we all see.
No, but it's like I know Pat Summitt coached their women's team for so long, and I mean,
so relevant to their men's team.
but
in
it's
20
like
yes.
that.
You know the
Pat
story.
Summitt, listen, when you think of
It's the
Tennessee,
story you like.
when you think of Tennessee, you think of Pat Summitt and Peyton Manning.
Yes.
And that's it.
And Sandy Duffield.
I have no idea who that is.
Shout out to Sandy. All right. Who's your championship? Who's in the championship?
Oh, I love a good classic title fight.
MSU and Duke.
Yeah.
That is a good one. All right. And then who's winning it all?
Okay, so
You're
normally I
going
would have
Sparty, aren't you?
the practical pick would have been Duke, but as I said to you when we walked in this morning, I would love to see Izzo win his second national title, and you were like, "Oh, he's only won one." I was like, "Yeah." But I would love to see him win his second national title 25 years after his first, and then ride off into the paper towel
sunset.
aisle of Costco,
Yeah.
where I seem to always run into Tom Izzo.
Well, listen, there's been twice in my life where I have chosen to not go with my heart and had Michigan State and Michigan going out early based on how they were playing. And in both those years, one of those teams went all the way to the Final Four. And so this year I have both of them going out early. So I'm trying to do a little reverse psychology, hoping that I would rather my bracket be wrong and them win.
I get you. I will say this. Michigan kind of got screwed over with a 5 seed. Like,
Yes,
I'm
they
not gonna
won the
lie
Big
about
Ten
that.
tournament. Yeah, there was 3 teams they had just beaten the Big Ten tournament. They got a higher ranking than them. But hey, we'll see what happens. They didn't have a great regular season. So, all right, Casey. Well, thanks for sharing your picks. Let's bring the next guy on here.
Get mad.
All right, so next up we got Micah Nash. Mike has been on the show many, many times, but he's our biggest basketball guy in the office. And so, I've been asking everyone, first of all, are you a basketball guy? I know the answer to that.
Yes, definitely. More of an NBA, but I do enjoy college.
How much college basketball do you watch before March Madness?
To be honest, like I watch a good Michigan game every now and then, but I'm not watching more than that.
So just the highlights.
Just the highlights.
So you're a casual college basketball fan.
For sure.
But do you like March Madness?
I love March Madness. It's great.
one of the best times of the
It's
year.
one of the best times of the year.
Yeah, we are getting the TV set up in the office. We're going to be distracted the next couple days.
Yep.
So let's talk about the bracket. Every year we fill out a bracket or two or three, and everyone has a process. So I'd like to know from you, what is Micah Nash's process for filling out the bracket?
It changes all the time. There's been years where I've tried to go based on the seeding. There's times I've tried to go based off their record. One year I did a ChatGPT version. That one didn't turn out very well.
That was last year?
That was last year. But this year, I took a little bit different of approach. I, wasn't in the best mental state when I was writing this. So I was like, whatever team has the easiest name to write, that's what I'm writing down. So if I had a short name, if it had just some cool syllables, if it had a goofy name, that's kind of what I went off. So it was really, really name based.
We'll see. Yeah, and normally the people that win these things are the people like that who just
Exactly.
make these
I'm
weird
throwing
guesses.
out all.
All right, so who are the 4 short name teams that you got in your Final Four?
So the only long name team I have is Michigan. Got to go U of M, baby.
Yeah.
But then
So you got Michigan coming out of the South.
Yep. But then out of the West, I got UConn.
Home team pick.
It's only a 5-letter.
UConn. I got UConn.
I got Duke coming out of the East.
Okay.
That one's only a 4-letter, and I like Duke. I like Cooper Flag. And then I got Gonzaga in the Midwest. I shortened it to just Zaga.
Zags.
So
The Zags.
that was easy to write. So
Gonzaga
that's
always
that's my
seems to have a
Final
lot of Cinderella moments in the
Four. Yeah,
tournament.
that was another reason too.
Okay.
And UConn, has a good history in the women's finals, but I'll translate it to the guys.
I really like their coach, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk semifinal or the championship game. Who you got in the championship game?
Championship game. Got to go U of M versus Duke, baby. Cooper
U
Flag.
of M versus Duke. What a
Yeah.
game that would be.
That's gonna be a good time.
All right, I think the last time they played in the Final Four was back during the Fab Five days.
Hey, time to run it back.
I don't even know if they played in I think they played in the Final Four. So who is your 2025 MHSAA national champion?
Got to go U of M, baby.
NCAA. Why did I say MHSAA?
Got to go.
Michigan High School Athletic Association.
Got to go U of M, baby. Got to stay true to your roots. Even if my bracket's wrong, that's who I want in my heart to win. So,
hometown pick.
Yeah,
the logical pick. KC was also a hometown pick.
The logical pick rarely ever wins, so you got to go with what your heart tells you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think those are some good picks. I would love to see Michigan go all the way. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's get Beth on here. All right. So now we have our creative director, Beth, and we're talking March Madness today on the pod. The brand. So the first question I've been asking everyone is, are you a basketball person?
Sort of.
Explain.
Well, I liked to play basketball at one point in my life, and if a basketball game is on, I will watch it, but I don't sit down and put a game on purpose.
Yeah, so you're not like rushing home to see a game at night. You're not recording games.
No.
So you'd call yourself a casual basketball fan.
Yeah.
Okay, but do you like March Madness?
I do.
You do? Do you fill out a bracket?
I do here.
Had you ever filled out a bracket before you came to AZEE?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. It's just one of those fun things that people do. And have you ever won a bracket challenge?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, so everyone has a process for how they pick their teams. Some is based on analytics and statistics. Some are based on my favorite team, my favorite colors, whatever. I want to know Beth Kviz's process for picking her team.
There is no process.
There's something.
Other than MSU goes straight to the finals and wins every single year, regardless of how good or bad they are.
Hometown. Casey picked MSU. Hometown. Micah picked Michigan. It sounds like you're picking Michigan State.
Yeah, I just want them to always win. It's a Sparty party.
Yeah.
So
even though you're a CMU girl.
Yeah, but
so if CMU made the tournament, which they have MSU. Before, would you still pick MSU?
Sure would.
Of course. Okay.
So my first pick is always MSU, just because.
And then we just work down from there.
Yeah, and then
who do I least want to play Michigan State?
It's pure chaos from there. There's no rhyme or reason after that. I will. Do you want me to explain my top 4?
Well, I want you to when you're going down the names, what makes you pick one team over the other?
So if it's easy to write down.
That's what Micah said.
If it's an easier thing to write out, then I'll pick that one. If it's a fun name, that one wins.
Fun name. So what's a good example of a fun name?
Oh, okay. I got a good one. So I was reading through the list and I stopped at UConn, and in my head I said, "UConn, do it."
This is insane. McNeese State.
Omaha. That one's fun.
Omaha.
Omaha.
Right, so you can do it. That is so Never heard
They
that
didn't
before.
win though. They didn't go to the end for mine.
This is something I didn't ask the other ones, but people might find this funny. How long did it take you to fill out your bracket?
I would say Micah watched me do it and struggled because I wasn't sure. I was looking at colors and jerseys, and
So you're not quite as quick. Like some people's just a 5 minute. You did
I
a
would
little
say
bit.
it gave me 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, all right.
I
That's
put a
not
little
bad.
effort into
I
this.
can see that. All right. So then, based on we know Michigan State is obviously coming out of the Final Four in the South.
Mm-hmm.
So based on that and the fun names and the best colors, who is Beth's Final Four?
Okay,
So from the West, we know the South is Michigan State.
So
Is it UConn?
I picked Kansas.
Not UConn, do it. Kansas, okay, coming out of the West.
Kansas because
Dude,
they have a
where's
really cute logo.
The Jayhawks.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like their logo. Stood out.
All right. And what about the East?
Okay, the East is Alabama
Alabama.
because I like the band.
Do you like to play me some mountain music? Okay.
I told you it's pure
What's
chaos.
coming out of the Midwest?
UCLA
Okay.
because I like their colors. They have a pretty
Blue
color
and yellow
palette.
and
Yep.
white and light blue. Beth loves the light
I
blue.
love light blue.
Okay.
I wanted to do North Carolina that's the best blue,
the Carolina blue.
but they're competing with MSU, so there was no
the
chance.
green's not great.
no.
Okay, so then who's going to the championship? MSU versus
I picked Alabama.
Alabama. All right. That's a big underdog. Alabama, I guess they're a 2 seed, right? Okay, so that's not too bad. That's not unplausible. I think Alabama has a better shot than MSU, but so obviously we know MSU is winning it all, right?
Correct.
Coach Izzo is going to win his second championship 25 years after his first one.
There is no coach better than Izzo.
He's one of my favorite coaches.
Even if you don't even follow basketball, I think everybody knows that man.
Yeah, so my process for picking is a lot based on coaches, and Izzo is one of my favorite coaches, and he's always great in March, but this is not his year. So, well, I think that's good. We're gonna get Dan on here and find out what his picks are. Any final thoughts for the fans?
Not one.
Go Spartans! Not one. Okay, so we got our project manager Dan Dameron gonna round this out for us. We got everyone's picks, but first we've been asking number one, Dan, are you a basketball guy in general?
I am 100% a basketball guy in general.
Okay. So would you consider yourself a fanatic or a casual fan when it comes to college basketball? Not March Madness, but just college basketball.
I'm not a fan of college basketball at all. I'd say I'm an NBA fanatic, but college basketball, I struggle with it, man. It's too slow paced for me. And some people will critique that. But when you've got 35 seconds on the shot clock, sometimes I feel like I'm watching my 10-year-old nephew where they're just playing keep away around the 3-point line. So,
okay. So you
Hot take.
you watch basketball for the entertainment value. It's not the purest, the beautiful game. It's I want to be entertained.
it's both. I just don't
Yeah.
think that college is.
It gets it there.
Yeah.
Now, do you like March Madness?
Yeah.
You like March Madness.
Yeah.
So the idea that we kind of talked on the podcast is that the way they branded it has turned even casual fans into somewhat fanatics, or at least people that will watch for a couple weeks out of the year. And a big part is the bracket challenge, because even people who don't like it fill out a bracket. And it's always funny to hear everyone's process of how they choose who they choose. And the team has given some good ones. There's some interesting processes. So we would before we have you give us your Final Four pick, we want to know what's Dan Dameron's process. How do you pick your teams?
So again, since I don't follow the teams in the regular season, being a project manager, being a little bit more analytical, maybe a little more linear.
Yeah.
My process is super simple. I just look through the list and I usually take the better ranked team.
Yeah.
Unless it's one of our Michigan teams, because I always have them going at least to the Final Four.
Yeah, that's what we had that happen here. Of course, this year we can't have both of them in the Final Four because
Correct.
they're in the same
Yep.
bracket. But we had 2 people picked State to go all the way, and 1 picked Michigan to go all the way.
Yeah.
I did not pick either. Usually, when I don't pick them to go far, they actually do go far.
Yep.
When I do pick them to go far, they go out early. So, all right. So based on your ranking system, just looking at who has the higher number, unless they're a home team or someone you like, who is Dan's Final Four coming out of the South? Who you got?
Coming out of the South,
I'm assuming Michigan.
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Okay. MSU coming out of the South.
Yep.
All right. And then coming out of the West.
Florida.
Florida. All right. Anyway, you pick. Any reason you pick Florida? Oh, because they're number 1. I
Yep.
got it. There it is. Okay. All right. And then coming out of the East,
We got Duke.
number 1. All right. And then the Midwest.
We've got Houston.
So you got all the number ones except for Michigan State. So your theory is 100% accurate. Your process, I should say.
I'm a purist.
100% accurate to what you just described.
Yeah.
The number one team except for the home team. So in the finals, who do you got?
I've got Michigan State and Duke.
Michigan State and Duke. All right. And who wins it all this year?
Duke.
Duke wins it all.
Yep.
So a number one seed does take it all the way. Why do you think it's going to be Duke?
You know, they're having a great season so far. But
like
also
Cooper
just
Flag?
like, I'm also just like, part of, I guess another part of what I factor in is just like teams that just have a legacy of greatness, right? And so like, that's one of the reasons why I always have Michigan State advancing probably further than they
Izzo
should.
always gets the guys ready during the March Madness.
They're a different team. They're a whole different team.
Always,
Always
play their best basketball in March, so you can never count them out.
Yep.
I actually have them going to the Elite Eight, but I couldn't put them in the Final Four. Just couldn't do it this year. All right, well,
I will say too, as crazy as people may think I am with the way that I set up my bracket, every year when we do this competition in office, I always end up in second or third place.
Yes.
Just by being, I've never won, but if you want to play it safe, you want to play it safe with your bracket.
play it safe. Yeah. So in the office, we got Casey picked Michigan State.
Okay.
We got Beth picked Michigan State. Micah picked Michigan. You picked Duke, and I picked Duke. So
All right.
we'll see how it goes.
Who'd you have going with Duke?
Duke and Auburn.
Okay.
Duke and Auburn. I picked mine based on coaches. I like.
You also picked
coaches.
yours based on number one.
No, actually, I don't. Only number one I have in the Final Four is Duke. Oh, I guess
And
Auburn.
Auburn.
But I really like Bruce Pearl. He's been around forever. And
Yeah.
and Charles Barkley, my favorite all-time player, played for Auburn. So,
Yeah.
I would love to see Michigan or Michigan State beat them, but I think Auburn's having a great year. And Duke and Auburn would be a phenomenal. And, this year's Duke's first year without Coach K. So it'll be interesting to see how Shayer gets it done. So, all right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll see how it goes. We're going to look back at this in a couple weeks and see who was right.
All right, let's go.
All right, thanks, man. All right, so now that everyone has given their picks, I want to give you my picks. Obviously, I already told you I'm a big basketball guy. I'm probably a casual college basketball person. I don't watch a ton of regular season college ball because I'm coaching during that time of year and just very busy. But I watch a decent amount of games, but I love March Madness. I am a March Madness fanatic. And so my picks, obviously, there's always the hometown feeling of I want to see Michigan go all the way. Usually the years that I pick Michigan or Michigan State to go out early, they end up going far. So I never get it right with them. But really how I decide is I follow a lot of coaches on social media, or I like seeing clips. I like seeing the styles that people coach. I like seeing the ways they motivate their players. I'm really into kind of how the coaches do it. I've tried to apply a lot of the things that I learned from these guys to the way I coach. And so we got 4, I think, great coaches in my Final Four. Coming out of the South, I got Auburn, Coach Pearl, Bruce Pearl, been at it for a while. Of course, I'm a huge Charles Barkley fan, and Barkley played at Auburn, and they're just having a great year. I actually have them going up against MSU in the semifinals. I'm sorry, the quarterfinals. But I got Bruce Pearl coming out with Auburn of the South. Out of the West, I got UConn and Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley is one of those guys that just says what he thinks. He got offered a job to coach the Lakers and turned it down to coach UConn. He literally said to an official this year after a bad call, I'm the best coach in the nation. Like, why are you questioning me? So he's just got that kind of swag, the attitude. So I like him. So UConn, or as Beth would say, UConn do it, coming out of the West. Out of the East, I got Duke. Of course, I love Cooper Flag. But you got Coach K's predecessor, John Shire, having a great first year. It helps when you have the squad that he's got. But I think he's going to be able to get those guys there. And then out of Tennessee, Rick Barnes, 2019 Naismith Coach of the Year. Been at it for a long time. Rick Barnes is a motivational guy. I like him. And so you got in the championship, I got Auburn and Duke. And I got Duke pulling it off in the end. So John Shire, first-year coach, going to pull it off this year. I believe Cooper Flag's going to get a championship before he inevitably declares for the NBA, which I think he will be a phenomenal NBA player. And so there you have it. Those are my picks. I want to know in the comments what your picks are. Let us know. We're always excited to see what our fans think. Enjoy March Madness. This time of year is great. Remember the takeaways. If you own a business, if you have a brand, there's a lot to be learned from this brand. And so, yeah, go out there, guys. Keep building, keep branding, and remember to stand out, but most importantly, brand out. Thanks for joining us. Follow us, like us, share us, subscribe us, click that notification bell, and we'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this content, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. We want to connect with you. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, and let us know what brands you want us to break down next. Follow us on social media for more branding insights, and remember, keep building, keep branding, and always brand out.